Hey guys, Teresa here. Welcome back to my channel, Lost My Thread. Today I'm going to be talking through everything I sewed in the month of November. It's a big one. I know this is going to be a bumper video because I have a lot to share with you guys, and they are also some of my favorite things that I've ever made that I got done in the month of November. It was a good month. I feel very happy with what I achieved in the month of November, and I'm really excited to share it all with you guys. This might be a good time to pause and get a drink or a snack. Please do feel free to take breaks along the way. As always, I'll be including chapters down below if you want to skip ahead to particular projects. But without further ado, let me get on to it. The first one to tell you guys about is the one that I'm wearing today. This is my third version of the Grafton Top by Cashmerette. I very much am a big fan of this pattern. I was curious to try a different bodice fit. So this pattern is a knit top skirt dress pattern. You can make a variety of combinations of things, but there was a more fitted bodice and a more relaxed bodice or top. And I was curious to see what the more relaxed version was like, and that is this. Now obviously I'll be putting in pictures because you can't particularly see with it on me, but the key difference I will say that's obvious just from looking is this has a dropped sleeve, like a dolman sleeve, and then there's a longer bit that gets added on where you can have a short version, short sleeve, or you can make a long sleeve. I really wanted to make this with a stripe because I knew that I would get this really cool effect on the sleeve, and I would say it's kind of like the Mandy Boat tee, the Nora top. So Mandy Boat tee is from Tessuti Patterns, the Nora top is from Tilly and the Buttons, but neither of those fit me particularly that well for my shape, how I want it. This one though, it fits me just right. Now I will say this is one that I sized up. I sized up initially when I made the Grafton, not quite sure how it was gonna fit me. I went for a size 10 CD cup. I usually go for an AEF cup for Cashmerette. And to be honest, for the relaxed fit, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know how much of a difference it would make to size down to my regular size. I only sized up because I wasn't quite sure with certain fabrics. They can feel a little bit tight with the Cashmerette Concord, which is the other top that they've made, the other knit top that they've made. On the whole though, really do love the shape of this one. The only thing I will say is I feel like the sleeves are a little tighter than I expected. I think with the relaxed fit, I was expecting a more relaxed fit sleeve. I think I probably would just make the sleeves a little bit wider next time. And this is even with me going up a size compared to what I usually would do for Cashmerette. But seriously, really do love the style. This is a fabric that I got from a destash from Sloths and Orchids, Elisa. Hi Elisa, if you're watching. I really love this fabric. I was so happy when I got it. I got quite a bit of it. I've made another top from it before that I know that I really love. A stripe is just so easy to mix and match and pair with lots of different things. It looks really cool. It looks really sleek. It's a really nice viscose drapey kind of fabric as well. So it's super comfortable to wear. And it is one that I guarantee you I will be wearing a ton. And it's just nice to have a different style of top with this fabric. And I really do love how the sleeve turned out. I think it's a really fun detail. It's definitely a win for me. The next one to tell you about is this cardigan. This is the Blackwood Cardigan by Helen's Closet. Now this one is one that I started with the fabric. This fabric is a tencel blend. It's like a tencel jersey blend. It's quite thick, I will say, for a jersey, for like a rib knit. And it's also got really wonderful drape to it. It has a really nice hang, really nice soft feel. It is quite a warm one, and that was what I was hoping for. Now I have some lighter weight Blackwood cardigans, but I didn't have anything for the cooler weather. I feel like this color is a really good autumnal and into the winter as well. I mean, I could wear this whenever really, but I feel like it particularly is good for this time of year. And because it's a little bit thicker, it's just very snuggly. I wanted to go for the longer length, so there's a longer or shorter length of this cardigan, and I really do prefer the longer. And the added pockets on there I feel like are just a really nice design detail. I also like having a pocket. I don't say I use these a ton, but it's nice to have when you have it there. And the sleeve on this is designed to be quite a long sleeve, which I feel like is just extra cozy when you have a really nice, soft, comfortable fabric. This is a meat milk fabric. It's on the pricier side, but I got it a little bit cheaper because I got the end of bolt. I thought about buying this fabric when I went to the Sew Me Sunshine open day for their birthday party, and I decided against it. I didn't really need it, but I was feeling like I wanted a cozy, snuggly, warmer Blackwood cardigan. And then when I popped into their shop, I would say probably in September, October, I decided, all right, you know what, second time I've seen it, I need to get it. And then it turned out to be the end of bolt, so I got it on a slight discount, which was definitely a bonus. This has been reached for a lot since I've made it. I really do like this one. In general, when I make my things, I tend to try not to wear them until I've got my photos and I've shown you guys, because I don't want to have to make sure that they're washed and pressed before I do my videos. I will say this one though, I've worn it so much. I really have, and I don't regret it. It just hangs up nicely anyway. I didn't have to wash it or press it again before showing you guys, because this kind of fabric, because of the weight of it, is quite a weighty fabric, I will say, for a rib knit. It just hangs and all the creases come out and it's delightful. Now, I actually had some scraps left over from this one, fairly decent size scraps, because I got the remnant, basically, the end of the roll. And I didn't want it to go to waste. I didn't have anything particular in mind. And then I saw a pattern for a beanie and I thought, actually, a sewn beanie is such a fun idea. And I managed to get the hat made up out of the scraps. So this is the Jude Beanie by Staystitch Pattern Co. I know it's not gonna probably go that well when I try and put it on my head right now, but it's just so cute, I want to. I don't really care. So I've got pictures, obviously. You'll be able to see some pictures. It's meant to be slightly slouchy fit, so it's a little bit oversized. In theory, it's meant to be just one long piece that you then turn inside out. So I can actually turn this out. It's just like this. And then you fold it inside itself. But I actually had to use two pieces because the scraps that I had weren't quite long enough. So I created a seam just at the end of it, which I think actually just looks like it's part of the look, it's part of the style. The fact that this is doubled over though makes it really surprisingly warm, and it is really cozy to make, or cozy to wear, I should say. Making this hat was so simple and so quick. Honestly, there are barely any seams. I had seen a reel of somebody making this up in like 30 minutes, the pattern designer, and I was like, 30 minutes? That's ridiculous. So I thought, well, let's just see how long this actually takes to cut out and sew up. It cuts out really quickly. I had an extra seam, so that was extra work that I had to do. And I actually made a mistake the first time I was sewing it together, serged it together, so I had to undo my serger seams and redo it. Even then, it only took me an hour, which I think is pretty amazing considering I made a mistake. It is really quick to make. It is really a nice thing to be able to make because I've been wanting to knit a hat this year and I've had issues with my hand and my wrist that I can't knit. So it was really nice to be able to sew a hat and use up this remnant, and I think it's super cute. I'm definitely very much enjoying wearing this one. I will say you make it for your specific head size, and mine is a small. I know I have a small head. I always have problems with hats being really too big. And so I was happy to be able to make it fit me, but it actually is a little bit snugger than I would probably like. And this is quite a stretchy rib knit. So like it really does have a fair amount. Actually, maybe it's not stretchy. No, it is. It has a good amount of stretch and give to it and really good recovery as well. So I think I would probably make a bigger size in the future just because I want it all to be a little bit oversized when it's got that sort of slouchy feel to it. But it is just the design, and that's just my preference with how I'd like my hats to be. But definitely will be wearing this one. I really love the color, I really do. And so I was happy that not only do I have the cardigan, but I also have a hat now that I can wear, and I feel like this slots right into my winter wardrobe at the moment. So that was a really fun one to be able to make. Next up is this top. This is the Lemont top by Itch to Stitch. This is actually my second version of this top, but I haven't actually shown you the first version yet because I'm waiting to dye it. It's nice to be able to show you guys what this looks like. It's a really unusual design. It's got a princess seam going down the front and the back, and then this has also got like a dolman sleeve here grown onto it. This one is really interesting as far as the sizing and how you grade between sizes. You don't really grade, how you grade the pattern, I should say. So this has different bust cup sizes. So this one I made with the fuller bust cup option. I went with the size that fit my bust, and then it also happened to fit my waist, and then the hip, it shows you how to grade out. And it's a really good instructional of how to do it. It works out really well. I feel like the shape and the fit are great. This has some nice gathers here at the sleeve, and there's just a slight gather as it goes into a little cuff here. I do like the general puff that you get there. This is a cotton dobby, a floral cotton dobby fabric that I also got from Sew Me Sunshine. I feel like this whole video could probably be sponsored by Sew Me Sunshine. Not literally everything. I swear to you guys though, I'm not affiliated. I don't get paid to say that. I just love Harriet's Fabrics, and I go to Semi Sunshine and shop from Semi Sunshine a lot because they're great. This I made with French seams throughout. I felt like because there's not a lot of French seams, there's just basically this long seam that goes all the way from the front to the back. It's a really unusual construction, but because there was just those seams, apart from like, you know, you're gonna create, I think there was like a bias binding that you put on the neckline and on the cuffs, but there's just 2 seams, and so I felt like, geez, for 2 seams I can do a French seam. And also because this fabric is slightly transparent, slightly sheer for a top, it's not like you can see my bra if I wear it as like flesh tone bra, but it's more just, I thought the seams, if I was going to serge them, probably the serger thread would see through and just not look as nice. So I'm glad that I did that. I will say, whenever you're doing French seams and there are gathers, it's a slight headache, and I did regret my choices very briefly while I was making it. And they're only 2 seams, but they're long seams because they go all the way from the bottom of the front of the top to all the way to the bottom of the back of the top. Still, so happy with the choice that I made. This fabric is so pretty. I love the print on it. I love the colors on it. This is very much the kinds of colors that I am so into right now. It's very like 70s autumnal colors, my kinds of colors, the rust and the orange and the kind of slightly off-white. It's so in my current palette, and this is definitely right there with so many of the things that I've been wearing and making at the moment, including the things that I'm showing you guys today. It's a beautiful top, really lovely and feminine. It was not one that I was familiar with before, but it's definitely one that I will be making again. It's so easy to wear. I feel like it's really just fairly like a classic tee, but just a little bit different in really beautiful ways. And it's a really nice one to be wearing this time of year, but also because it's this lightweight cotton dobby, I will very much be wearing this one in the warmer months as well. Next up is one of those that just, it doesn't work to show you on the hanger, but I have to show you guys what it looks like holding it up so that you can see the drape and the feel of this fabric before I insert the pictures. So this is the Burnside Bibs by So Have 7 in the most wonderful viscose linen noil fabric that I got from Blackbird Fabrics. See, I do shop at other fabric shops. This fabric, I'm just going to show you one of the legs because I feel like you need to be able to see the color, the movement, the drape of it. Viscose linen noil is one of my faves, all-time favorite fabrics to work with and to wear. The color, if it's not great, I'll pop it up on the screen, but I think it looks pretty good for the minute from what I'm showing you guys. It is such a vibrant red. It's a really wonderful red, and it feels just so soft and silky. It's got the texture of the viscose, but the texture of the linen, I should say, and the drape of the viscose. The Burnside Bibs is a pattern that I honestly, for the longest time, I would always be like stopped on my Instagram feed whenever I'd see them and like, ooh, that looks cool. But then I'd remember the back of it I didn't love because there's this gather at the back. But I found out that there's actually 2 versions of this. So when you buy it, you get 2 variations, basically like 2 views. And one has an invisible zip in the side and pleats in the back, which means that there's not as much gathering at the back. And once I found that out, and I found out that it works well with a drapey fabric, I was absolutely convinced that this is what I had to do with this fabric, and I was so right. I made this one early in November, and it's another one that I've worn so much since I've made it. I really, really love how it came out. I love the style of it. I knew that I loved the style of it. It's got a very relaxed, but also a little bit sort of smart and dressy and very feminine kind of vibe. I feel like it's just one of those super cool outfits to wear. So I have so many things that go well with this. As soon as I made these bibs, I basically decided I needed to try it on with every top in my wardrobe. It goes really well with the Lemont top that I just showed you guys as well. But it's just gonna be one that I know that I'm gonna reach for again and again. The wide leg, I really do love the style of that wide leg, and it makes it quite light and drapey and airy and moves around really well. It will be great to wear on warmer days for sure. But with that linen element, it's not too lightweight that I've been able to wear it throughout the autumn, probably less so much in the winter. But seriously guys, I'm going to be wearing this one as much as I possibly can. I love the style of the way that the bib goes into a strap that then gets wrapped around and crossed over at the back, and then you tie that into the front. I just feel like the whole thing, it's very clever, it's very cool, it looks very effortless, and this is one that I feel like, yes, I like to wear overalls and bibs, but it doesn't look very childish. Some of the other ones can be a little bit childish in a playful way, in a nice way. This one really just doesn't have that. This one feels like a little bit more grown up and cool. Love the style, like I said, both on the front with the tie. I really prefer the tie to come at the front. You can tie it different ways, but I like it coming around tying at the front. At the front as well, there are these really nice pockets. So they're a patch pocket with a really nice shape. I love the top stitching on those pockets, really just give it a little bit something extra. And then on the back as well, you've got some patch pockets. Are the front ones patch? They're not, they're actually in the side seam. I doubted myself because one of the things I remember about these bibs is that I was really surprised that the construction was a bit more involved in a really satisfying way. It was a really satisfying one to put together, a lot of really clever construction. But yeah, these pockets are actually sort of like a hip slash pocket essentially, but with a nice curve on there. So they are really nicely made, and yeah, patch pockets on the back. There are darts, like I said, on the back, which I feel like give me a really good shaping, and I really don't feel like it is bunching and gathering too much in the lower back. That was the one thing I was worried about with this pattern, that it can look a little bit diapery. This one does not. It looks really beautiful. Like I said, I've got that invisible zip in the side seam, so it fits me so well. I am so impressed with the fit of this one. I feel like in general, this one is just gonna go so far in my wardrobe. Like I said, I've been wearing it definitely a lot since I've made it, and the color just makes me so happy. It is very vibrant, it is very in your face, but it's so fun just for that reason. And so this is definitely one that I know I'm going to be wearing loads because I've already been wearing it loads, and it is, I don't know, it's one of my favorite overalls that I've made, definitely up there in the top if it hasn't taken the lead, and it probably has. I just feel bad saying that to my other overalls, but Burnside Bibs, guys, I love them. Next up is definitely a favorite. That is this Grainline Studio's Thayer Jacket. Oh my gosh, guys, this turned out so much better than I even thought it would, and I was very excited when I made my plans. If you watched my plans video for the autumn, you knew that I was excited, but I love this thing. I really, really love this thing. Now, this was one of those makes, again, it was a fairly involved construction process, but it was very easy to follow. Instructions were fantastic. It was my first time sewing with Grainline Studio, and I will say on the whole, I was really impressed. There is this pocket here on the chest that I feel like I can't even explain to you guys how clever this is, but basically there's a yoke piece, and then there's a like bottom bodice piece, and the yoke piece extends down here to create the lining of this pocket. And the way you create the button loop is by sewing together, can I even describe it? You fold over the bodice section, and then you top stitch it in place, but you leave a little gap before you fold it over, and that creates the buttonhole. I mean, seriously, guys, it was such a great construction, so much fun to put together. So there's the pockets on the chest, and there's also patch pockets. And I decided, well, if I'm having a sherpa line, this is a faux sherpa. I should tell you about the fabric. Let me not get carried away. This fabric, I really, really do love it. It is a CU at 6 fabric. It's a thick jumbo needle cord. It is from the Good Fabric store. The color is called green tea, or tea green. I think that is probably the best. Try to get accurate color. You know, you get like closer and further it changes. That's probably a pretty good accurate color of it. Really do love that color. And the lining, it's a sherpa lining, a faux sherpa lining that I got from Fabric Godmother. I knew that's what I wanted to do, was the faux sherpa, and it is so, so snuggly. It is every bit as soft and warm and cozy as I was hoping it would be. The main reason I wanted to do the sherpa lining, I actually bought this fabric with the intention of making more like a denim jacket style jacket, but the ribbing, you probably can't see, but on the cord in between where there isn't the sort of plush part, it's actually a very loose weave, and it was very airy, I would say, and I felt like it was not going to be very warm. And so when I'd had the Grainline Studio Thayer Jacket on my mind for a while because it looks great, and I'd seen so many good versions, and I thought, you know, I think this is probably what I need to do with it. So yeah, love the faux sherpa lining. The sleeves are actually a quilted lining fabric. That was the recommendation, to be able to get the sleeves on and off easily, which I think is definitely the right choice. This fabric is actually left over from a coat that I made my husband. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you will have seen that coat. And it was really nice to be able to use the leftovers, to use the scraps. It was absolutely perfect. It was just exactly the right amount that I needed as well. So I was so glad that I held on to that. I also picked some really amazing buttons, if I do say so myself. These are from Arrow Mountain. Arrow Mountain is an Australian button maker, where they also make all kinds of various sewing items, like haberdashery items and things. I'll put a link down below if you're not familiar, but they do make phenomenal buttons. I feel like these buttons are just the perfect button for this coat. I actually had these buttons for a while and didn't know what to do with them. I ended up having to order some more because I didn't have quite enough. But I will say, even they come from Australia, really reasonable shipping and really quick shipping as well, which is always really nice. I also added a tag on this one. Again, really love the tag. This is from my favorite label company called Intensely Distracted. What I love about the Intensely Distracted labels is that they are cotton, so they're not scratchy. I will say I have a lot of labels I don't want to put in the backs, because just like clothing labels, when I buy clothes, I used to cut those out. I don't want that scratchiness there. But these are cotton, super, super soft, and I love the phases of the moon on there. It's so cool. I think it's just perfect. So I really just wanted to have that in case I was going to hang that, but honestly, I'm mostly going to hang this with a hanger because I don't want to put too much strain on there, but it looks great, turned out really great. And yeah, the pockets, the main pockets, patch pockets on the front, I decided to use the sherpa to line these as well. So that is not part of the original design, but I felt like having that little bit peeking through of the sherpa, just like it peeks through on the front of the coat, I feel like it's just such a nice detail. And honestly, guys, if you could feel these pockets, you would fully understand there was no other option. I had to make these sherpa line pockets. They are the most delightful thing to put your hands in. Everyone who compliments me on this jacket, I'm like, feel my pockets. You need to just put your hand in my pocket. Trust me, you will thank me for it. Now, I will say this was supposed to be a jacket, like an autumnal jacket. And I don't know if I was really kidding myself, thinking that a sherpa lined jacket was just going to be a little lightweight layer. It's not like the hottest coat I've ever had, but it's definitely very much good for the winter, and I've been wearing it on cold days and I've been absolutely fine with it. It's more of a coat than a jacket, but do I love it? Absolutely. Like, I would not change a thing. So happy that it came out the way that it did. Like I said, really did like the instructions. The only thing I will say, I wish I had sized up. I actually did make a muslin of this one because I knew that it was going to be a big project, going to be an involved project, and I had fairly expensive fabrics I was working with. I wanted to make sure that it was exactly how I wanted it. I made a muslin out of a lightweight cotton fabric. It was an old sheet, and the intention was that I was going to check the fit, but I put like a sweatshirt, a thick sweatshirt underneath to try and get an idea of how that sherpa was going to work. And I feel like you can't fully get the same effect until you're using the real fabric. My muslin fit me really, really good and was actually surprisingly roomy, especially around the hip. I had a lot of room. So this one I actually graded out at the hip to the size that is supposed to be for my size, but I saw there was a lot of positive ease, and I felt like if I go with the straight size, it's probably going to fit actually fine. But with this thicker fabric, it's a little bit different. So I wouldn't mind a little more room at the hip. I wouldn't say it's tight by any means, but I would like it to be a little bit looser, particularly for layering in the colder days. The body, the sort of bust area as well, I feel like it fits, but I wouldn't mind a little bit more room there. Now, on their website, they have a tutorial of how to do a full bust adjustment for this jacket, because I was debating between using the smaller size range or the larger size range. The smaller size range has a B size sewing cup and I have a D size sewing cup. The larger size range has a D size sewing cup, but it was bigger than me. So I was really like, oof, what do I do? How do I decide? Let's do the full bust adjustment that they have on their website. But while I was working through it, it became clear to me that it's incomplete. So they give you a really great detailed tutorial about how to do a full bust adjustment on princess seams on this really unusual jacket with these different pieces for the bodice. I wouldn't want to try to figure that out on my own. And so I was doing that to my pattern piece. And then I realized, well, actually there's also the lining. And what they say at the end of that tutorial is just do the same for the lining. But it's not the same. the lining doesn't have any kind of princess seams or those additional like seam lines where the pocket is. So it's just like a straight piece. And to do a full bust adjustment on a straight piece with no darts without adding a dart, because I did not want a dart with this Sherpa fabric, it would be way too bulky and defeat the purpose of adding room in the bust. And so I felt like, you know, I'm not sure how these are going to come together because the lining really needs to fit the body of the jacket. And when I made my muslin, it seemed quite roomy in the bust. And I was like, let's just go ahead and make it as it is. And yeah, I feel like if I had sized up a size, probably still kept with like the standard sizing because it's probably a little bit better for my shape in general, I think that probably would have been like the exact size that I wanted with this thick fabric. But I will say, if I made this again in like a lighter weight or just use like a flannel lining, I would not want to size up. I would go exactly with what I did. And this one, like I said, it's comfortable and it fits me. Generally, I think it looks good. It's just for my own like comfort and knowing that I probably wouldn't wear a bulky sweater under this. It's just nice to have the option of wearing a bulky sweater in the winter. But on the whole, so happy with this one, really pleased with the finish. I just feel like everything came together so neatly. I'm really proud of how all those things came together. Really great pattern, really curious to try Grainline Studio in the future. And this is basically what I'm reaching for now when I leave the house. It's such a great jacket. The next one I'm gonna whiz through a little bit because I have made videos already talking about this. This is my anniversary dress. So this dress is the By Hand London Anna dress. I made it using the fabric from my wedding dress. So I recently celebrated my 20th wedding anniversary with my husband and thought it would be really fun to refashion my wedding dress into another dress. I wasn't wrong. This fabric is just the highlight for me of it all. I love this fabric so much. This is a viscose fabric, viscose twill fabric that I got from Vogue Fabrics in Evanston, Illinois in 2003 before I got married. Love the fabric, love the drape and the color. It is just glorious. I think the color on the screen is the most accurate. I struggle to get a good representation of this fabric in the photos because the colors, depending on how the light hits it, really changes. But this is the Anna dress from By Hand London, like I said. I had a bit of a nightmare getting this one to fit me well. I had 3 different muslins, and even by the end of it, I was like, might just tweak a few little things before I make the final dress, which is what I ended up doing. I had the extra added difficulty of cutting this dress out of a previous dress, and it was really difficult to be able to figure out the grain lines from the previous dress. As a result, not all of my pieces were cut out perfectly on grain, and I had issues with everything not quite matching up. Needless to say, I had a bit of a nightmare putting it together. I will put links to the videos where I talk about this all in a lot more detail, put links up here as well as down below, but all in all, I will say, with a whole lot of headache, I came out with a pretty fabulous dress. I'm really proud of this one and how it came together and my perseverance, guys. Like I worked to get this dress to come together. I had to take breaks because it was driving me a little bit crazy. I really wanted something special for the anniversary that felt really elegant and beautiful, and I feel like this dress just absolutely nailed the brief. I love that I was able to get that nice thigh slit in there, that I was able to get the length that I was able to. It was a squeeze getting everything out of the lower portion of the dress because the top portion of the skirt was just too tight to be able to fit over me now, which is why I was doing the refashion. But the sections that were too tight to fit over my waist were big enough to be able to get a bag out of it as well. So I made this bag, which is the Sew Over It bow bag. Super cute bag. So glad that I was able to get this as well. It worked so well for this kind of fabric. I was also able to use the original dress lining for the lining of the bag because the Anna dress doesn't need a lining. And I feel like this was just definitely the icing on the cake for me for that night. It was so wonderful to be able to just take this little clutch with me. And I also like that this is just a really pretty clutch that I can just use on any occasion. This bag was such a satisfying construction, really great, really no concerns, no issues that I could complain of. The fit on, or the shape on here as well, you get this little kind of flattened bottom, which is really nice. The construction of how you get this bow on there is super clever, really straightforward, easier to make than I was expecting. And it was just so wonderful to wear on the day. Really, really proud of those. And I felt amazing. And that's what you want on your anniversary. And finally, another one of my proudest makes, I have to say. So chuffed with this one. This is a bit of a cheat because I didn't actually finish this bag in December, but I made another bag in November that is the exact same bag, and that one I've given away as a Secret Santa present, so I don't have it to show you. It is the Bestie bag from BF Patterns. I'll pop pictures up of the one that I made as a gift because that's the one I actually made in November, but I also have the one that I finished for myself that I'm going to show you guys in a minute. But the one that I made is in a really lovely jumbo cord fabric that I got from Sew Me Sunshine. The lining is the most fun Narita Hansen fabric with these lovely people on there. There's all these ladies doing different activities. Such a cute fabric, really, really fun, and I think the recipient will really appreciate that. The strap on it is just so cool. I feel like that just tips it over into looking really professional. The strap was from Merchant & Mills. It was actually, I got it at Sew Me Sunshine, but it's a Merchant & Mills branded webbing. And I feel like it is just so perfect for the colors on this bag. It's very much the kinds of colors I think of the person that I've been giving it to, so I hope she really does love it. I decided to put some labels on there as well. So on the outside, I put this really cool bespoke label that I got. I think that was maybe from my Fabric Godmother Christmas advent calendar last year. And then on the inside, I also put a really sweet Kylie and Machine label on there that I also put on my own bag. So I think I'll show it to you when I show you my bag. That probably makes more sense. But this bag was a super fun one to make. I have not had any patterns from BF Patterns because they're a brand new pattern company. And there were things, I feel like lately when I've been sewing, it's been rare that I've been 100% happy with everything with the instructions. I've had to send some emails off to pattern companies, and this was one where there was something with the instructions I think could have been a bit more clear with the lining. So you have two versions of this bag, probably four I suppose. There's two sizes. There's like a medium and a large. They just came out with a small as well, but medium and large that I bought. And there's also, either of those have the option of a pleat, which I really like. I think it looks really cool, and I feel like it just makes it a little bit more of a roomy feel. It's a really nice professional look to me as well. But the lining, I will say, is there's not a piece, or doesn't mention cutting out the lining with that same pleated piece, because you're supposed to make the lining unpleated. And I think that definitely should have been more clear on the pattern pieces. So if you're going to do the pleat, just know that you need to use the unpleated piece for the lining. Apart from that though, it was a really nice construction. It looks so professional. The way it's finished is fantastic. Honestly, the way it came together, I couldn't fault them. It was just such a nice one to make, and a relatively, I would say, more complex bag pattern, but so good with the instructions that you don't feel like it's complicated. And when you're putting all the pieces together and you're like, oh yeah, no, this looks really cool. This looks really cool. There are some nice pockets on the inside as well. If you do the lined version, which is definitely my preference, you can line or not line it. I like the lined version. I like having all those pockets on there, a few different sizes. Obviously you can choose to make whatever pockets you want, but it's just nice to have that element in there. Now, the reason I didn't make my own at the time is because I was waiting for a zipper. I didn't have the right color zipper for mine. And so once I got my zipper, I put mine together straight away, and I love it. So this is my version of the Bestie bag. It's a good size, right? Like you can see, it's a good roomy size. This is probably a good color. It's an awkward way to hold it, but it's probably a good way to show you the color. Mine is also a jumbo cord, so very similar in general. Also all from Sew Me Sunshine. All these fabrics are from Sew Me Sunshine. This one is a really nice deep blue jumbo cord fabric. It's really nice and soft. I do love a jumbo cord for that kind of squishy, soft quality of it. And my strap is equally amazing, Merchant & Mills strap that I love. I wanted the adjustable strap for both of ours. Mine's this gunmetal gray, which I think is just a really cool color. It also just looks really, I think, just a little bit more high end. So this one, it's got the zipper as well that matches, because I was waiting for that one to come. And this one is lined with a really wonderful Liberty fabric. This is a Liberty cotton poplin. I feel like the colors are so good together, and it's just such a pretty print. It's got these little deer on there, lovely autumnal colors. Again, very much the kind of colors that I've been gravitating towards, very much my kind of colors. And I've got two pockets on one side, one pocket on the other. So this is the label that I put in both of our bags. So this is a Kylie and the Machine label that I think is just so lovely. And I feel like it's a nice thing to give to someone else, but also just nice to have for yourself. And then this one also, I added a little additional label just under the strap, which I thought worked very well. The color is so fun. It looks really cool together. I feel like that's a really nice little extra detail for me. Now this, I will say, I interfaced, because there's an optional interfacing and I wasn't quite sure With the corduroy, I really like that corduroy has a bit of a kind of soft, worn-in feel to it, and I was worried that if I interfaced it was going to end up really stiff, which I didn't want. But I saw somebody else had done one and they said that they used an interfacing, so I just used a medium woven interfacing, and I feel like it has just the right amount of structure with still having that kind of sort of nice, crunchy, scrunchy, comfortable feel of corduroy. I'm very into my corduroy at the moment, if you guys haven't noticed. It's really like an autumnal thing to me, but this bag is now, this is my new bag, and I'm going to be wearing this bag, and if you're going to see me, it's going to be with this bag. I feel like it goes with everything in my wardrobe because it's the kind of colors that I'm very much wearing at the moment, and I am just really proud of how this one came together. I feel like it's just a really satisfying one and just such a practical one as well. A really good practical size. You can surprisingly fit a lot in this bag. It is a good generous size. And I'm curious to see what else BF Patterns come out with, because this one's a winner. And that is it with my bumper makes from November, including one cheeky December make, because it just made more sense to me that I could show you guys the bag that I made for myself. That was the exact same bag that I've made for my coworker for the Secret Santa. All in all though, I feel like I've been really satisfied with my sewing. I've been really happy to have it as well. I've mentioned on my channel before that I've been having problems with my hand and my wrist, with my ulnar nerve, getting a lot of pain when I do certain activities. And sewing is one of those things that I can actually do it, but it's also just really rewarding and satisfying, and it's, you know, hits all like the creative points as well as like self-care. It's been really nice to be able to do that sewing. I have definitely, if anyone is wondering, I have been noticing improvements with my ulnar nerve. It's just taking time. So these things, we have to be patient with ourselves. I have had YouTube as my friend though. I've very much been enjoying all of the December Vlogmas videos that are around. I have to say, I am missing doing Vlogmas more than I expected. I really did enjoy it when I did it before. I was thinking I would really appreciate having a break, which I am, but it's so much fun to do, and it's been really fun to be able to watch all those videos and have a little bit more time for that. I have to say my favorite Vlogmas is the one that inspired me the most to make Vlogmas, which is Jacqueline Salem, who's in New York City, showing you around in the wintertime, and it's a really great bunch of videos. I will put a link to them down below if you're not familiar with her channel. If you're not watching her Vlogmas videos, they are definitely my favorites. All in all though, guys, keep up the good Christmassy content. I'm very much enjoying living vicariously through all of you guys. Please do give me a like if you enjoyed my video today. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you want to see upcoming videos. I've got a lot planned, I've got a lot coming, and I hope to see you there. Bye!